Tahoe. I will say that I saw more snow in the last like 100 miles than I kind of wanted to, but yeah, we made it. We're here, we're safe and sound. Carbon didn't love his first encounter with the snow, but he had kind of a stressful day. He doesn't love the long car ride, so I think tomorrow it'll be fine. But yeah, that's the drive. All of those clips were in chronological order, so you can get like an appreciation for the kinds of weather that you could experience when driving from the bottom of California to like the middle. We're not even at the top, this is just mid. But yeah, now I want to take a shower, wash off all my car sweat, have some toast, and go to bed. And tomorrow I'll tell you about Deep. We found the lake. There's the lake here. This is the biggest lake I've actually ever seen. Wow, it's so beautiful today, and it was so nice to just walk through the woods. There's like a foot of snow on the ground. I had the dog, he was jumping around, he was so cute. He's okay maybe with the snow now. Like, I'm pleased, very pleased. Clearly whatever I thought in my TBR video about me reading on the deck was absolute garbage. There's no way that's happening. It was wishful thinking, because I think this is the nicest day that we are likely to get. I was reading last night and again today The Angry Planet, Becky Chambers' book. I don't know why I trip over the whole title every time, but oh my god, it's so good. I'm like 100 pages in already and I'm having a blast. I don't know what I thought it was going to be like, but it's just so fun to read something so I don't know, fantastic and like interesting. I don't know, like I feel like there's enough science in the book, and Becky Chambers has talked about having like an astrophysics family or something, so she like has enough info to like talk about wormholes and stuff in a way that is readable and like interesting. And I just got to the part where like we got the mission. Like I know now what the trajectory of the story is going to be, and I don't know how I feel about it. I guess I can also just say that Deep has been absolutely amazing. It's like blowing my mind. It's blowing Connor's mind. We listened to it on and off on our whole drive, and I think we have like one more chapter, and it's amazing. It's so interesting, and if you're at all curious about the ocean and our relationship to it, you should absolutely read it. Like I don't think it's very long, and it is very interesting. Maybe I'll have some fun facts for you later, but for now I'm gonna just continue bird watching here in this beautiful, quiet, quaint little lake that I found. It's called Lake Tahoe. Okay, hello. My vacation is halfway over and I have read half of one book. So that's a huge win. Pretty slow, chill, little cabin event we're having here. I pretty much didn't do anything today because I was feeling bleh, because I really didn't sleep very well last night. I was up for a couple of hours, like in the middle of the night, so I wasn't feeling super rested. So pretty much just relaxed today, and Connor was actually gonna go snowboarding today, which was perfect. So I was like, great, I don't want to do anything. But we found out this morning that the mountain that Connor was gonna go to closed this past weekend was the last time they were open. So when we checked to see if they were open before coming here, they were open, but now they're closed. So we did just take a nice walk together, and Connor and the dog did take also like a little hike, just the two of them, while I rested. So today was just cozy. I did read a lot. We also played some games. Well, we tried to play a lot of games, but we found that most of the games here are like missing one small piece. Like one small element of the game is not present, so we couldn't play. Or it was like not a two-player game, but there's simply nowhere for a third person to be sleeping here. So anybody who's renting this is only going to be two people. Yeah. So we actually ended up learning how to play backgammon and then playing backgammon, and that was pretty fun, actually. I think I might be like down with backgammon now. And that's that. It is just starting to snow now, and it's gonna snow according to the weather from now until at least tomorrow night. So I don't know what we're gonna do tomorrow. Play in the snow, obviously. But tonight I'm gonna read, and hopefully I'm gonna sleep through the night, because I really didn't like how I felt today. But I am truly so charmed by all the characters in this. There is, we have an ensemble crew aboard a spaceship. They are tunneling through space, and they've got a big job. And they all have, their own little arcs. I think it feels very balanced. Like, I feel like I'm getting to know all of the characters a pretty equal amount. And I also found out that this is a series. I don't know. I don't know if it's like wild that I didn't know this was a series, but this is the first of 4 books. So, I don't even know if they all follow the same crew or what, but yeah, I'm loving the crew on this spaceship, the Wayfarer, and I'm rooting for them, and I'm also so like amazed at the world building and the like cultures and creatures and species and customs and stuff. Like, there's so much going on in this book, and I have not yet reached a point that was info dumpy, and every new interaction with a new species or every new like piece of information is just like, it's fascinating. And I haven't read a ton of sci-fi. I'm not like a space opera girly, but I feel like this is fantastic. Like, I think it's amazing. Winter wonderland out here, you know what I mean? Honestly, not sure when the last time I saw snow was. I think it was 2019. Okay, I finished this book. Y'all. Oh my god. Okay, let's back up a little bit. What a book. I loved it. Some thoughts and feelings. First of all, last night I was sort of thinking, dang, like, I am reading this book about all of these aliens and different species working together, living life, whatever. And when I started reading this book, I kind of was feeling like the main characters were Rosemary and Ashby. I was like, I think they maybe had some of the first chapters. And so I was like, okay, these are our main characters. But I think now, like, they just got the first chapters because maybe that's like an easier segue into the whole story. And also I was being a speciesist. I don't know. It's just because those are the two, I guess they're not the only main humans, but like, this is not a book about humans. This is not about the human characters. This book is about Syssix. Almost entirely. The parts that are not should have been. And I loved it. Oh my god, I love her. And I love so many other parts also, obviously all of the cultural like intricacies of all these different species and different, factions and whatever. Sci-fi space book, of course, is going to touch on colonialism, racism, not homophobia, although yeah, xenophobia, but this also had some really fun like trans love moments and acceptance, and also so many non-traditional relationships and like family structures, which is just fun to read. And I'm glad that it exists. I'm glad this book exists. I loved it. I did have concerns while I was reading it that I wasn't going to get the same amount of story time for all of the characters. Like, obviously they're all involved in one story together, but I was worried that I wasn't going to get enough background to really care about everybody. But I did. And the big scary scene in this book, if anyone has read it, I felt sick. I was so anxious on behalf of everyone, and I think that is just a nod to some excellent pacing overall. And I also shed some tears. I did shed a couple of tears. It was a lot. Okay, a lot happened all at once, and I cried a little bit. So that's amazing, like for a book, to do that to a person. And oh my God, I just love them all. I love them all. And I want to read more. I want to read the rest of this series, but I did look it up and find out that the other books are not following this crew. They're just set in the same world with maybe some like crossover characters, but that's fine. I wanted to know what was going to be up next for this gang, but whatever. I'm still dying to read the rest of them, and Becky Chambers is amazing, and this book was amazing, and thank you, Kayla, for lending it to me, and thank you, Connor, for picking it for me because of the pod. And I don't know what I'm going to read now. Me and Connor took another really nice stroll today through the woods and then also down by the lake. Lovely, fun, and then we played Super Scrabble, or Deluxe Scrabble, something. It's just way bigger. There's more spaces on the board. It was crazy. And I crushed it. So, that's what's up. Hello. I'm getting this from outside just because I thought it was like maybe fun to like mix up my space, but I hope that the wind doesn't interrupt me too much. Anyway, I finished The Hawk's Way by Cy Montgomery, which I was so excited to get an e-arc of from NetGalley because I read Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery and I loved it, and I really liked this book too. It's a novella. I think that she's writing 3 bird-based novellas that kind of go together, so this was the second one. I think the first one was about hummingbirds, so I think I will still see if my library has it because I'm interested in hummingbirds. It was a really short book, novella, like I said. It was really short and sweet, about a little bit about like the history of hawking, the history of hunting with raptors, and also the stories of her own experience working with hawks, and also like her hawk teachers' stories, seems like. Not super in-depth, but still cute. Anyway, it was a delight to read. I read it in basically one sitting. I started reading it outside because there was a little bit of sun and I had a dry bench, but then the sun went away and I got kind of cold, so I finished it inside. But I was glad to read outside on this trip, even though it was not, necessarily warm. It was still nice. And I really liked this book. I thought it was interesting. There was some stuff that was super interesting, just like perspective wise, because Cy Montgomery is a vegetarian, and her perspective on hunting with these birds and also the way that you train them requires some like dismemberment of other like meaty things, other small birds even, to train and hunt with. The falcons, you need bits of other birds. So her perspective on that was very interesting, because at first she was very hesitant and kind of grossed out by it, but then once she was working a little bit closer with the birds and watching them hunt, it seems like she was really like swept up in this like the circle of life, the circle of life, the natural predatory order of the world, and that's something that I can relate to. And I actually had an experience kind of like this a few days ago at the lake. I don't think I talked about it, but me and Connor, when we first were walking around the lake, I saw there was a ton of birds out. They were, just like pecking around getting bugs and seeds and stuff, and a ton of these cute little finches, and we were just walking right along the edge of the water, and there was a little tiny finch face down in the sand, dead, absolutely. And we were kind of like, oh God, you know, sad little small bird. But we just left it there because we were like, you know, what are you gonna do? It's part of the cycle of life. You know, this is the great outdoors, so that's what it is. We continued walking down the beach, then, you know, we meander, we turn around, we pass it again, and we're like, and then we just stop, and I'm sitting on a rock, just like enjoying the view, just like trying to kind of like connect with, you know, nature. And this crow, pretty big crow, maybe it's a raven, I can't tell the difference, shows up, finds the dead finch, dismembers and eats the dead finch. We're sitting like, I don't know, 30 feet away. And I was like, wow, I've never seen anything like that. So now I have, and I just, that was vivid in my mind while I was reading about these hawks, I guess, is all I want to say. Because, yeah, I mean, that's like how the world works. Birds scavenge other birds, animals eat other animals. Just because I don't eat other animals, you know, that's just because I don't need to, you know? So the only other thing, well, I guess there's two other things that I want to say about the book, which the first thing is that it has a lot of very flowery, like philosophical language maybe, which I should have known because Soul of the Octopus is a little bit like that, but there was just so much more like science in that book, whereas this one, it was a lot more about her relationship to the birds and her feelings. The other thing is just this, you know, she talks about hawks and falcons like they're never going to be your pet, you know, you're their hunting partner and you're the lower rung in that, like you're below them as a hunter. So you can work with them, you know, you do feed them and shelter them, but they are not affectionate towards you. They do not love you. They, you know, you're a fine companion, but they're not going to like, they don't want to snuggle, you know? So people who are working with falcons, like that's not a pet. It's just an animal that you work with, you have a relationship with, but it's not an animal that is like subservient to you, even though they are trained. That's kind of the whole picture that I was getting. Basically, if you're hearing me talk through this whole thing, I think it's kind of the same thing as if you read the book. But that idea of, you know, a hawk, a raptor is never going to form a like emotional bond to a human, is something that, I mean, I don't feel that I have any room to speak on that. I've known a bunch of birds. I've worked with chickens, turkeys, an emu, and I've seen all of them interact with people in positive and negative ways, and I didn't ever bother to think that hard about bird emotions because I was happy to read bird body language and understand at least like bird preferences and desires and behaviors without needing to directly tie it to like mammalian impulses. But now I'm thinking about it a lot, and so I think I definitely need to read that book, H is for Hawk, by Helen McDonald, I think is the author, because this has got me curious about hawks and raptors. California is amazing. It's 70 degrees, sunny, still pretty windy, and I'm home. We had quite the ride yesterday, and I honestly did not have it in me to address the camera when we finally did get home. We went through 2 snowstorms separate on our drive, and that just slowed us down. I think we hit Coachella traffic, so that's annoying. And yeah, it was basically 12 hours in the car, and we were both feeling kind of yucky at the end of it. So I took the night off And I'm here with some closing remarks. First of all, I did read a little bit of Erosion and a little bit of the Book of Form and Emptiness. Those are just two like ongoing things for me, I guess. I did not crack the X-Hex, and I did not crack anything else. We did finish Deep by James Nestor on our ride home, and what a phenomenal book. If you're at all interested in like the ocean and like, that's it. If you're interested in the ocean at all, I definitely recommend it. It was such a good read. And it's read by the author, which I always think is like kind of nice when that works out. It's just about various free diving practices in like history and modern, and also so much information about ocean science, marine biology, and how technology and like I guess how high and low tech ways of studying and understanding the ocean like come together. It was fascinating. There is information about all the different like levels of depth of the ocean, of the sea, the things that live in them, how they live, and how humans have like tried and failed to understand them. Basically, the ocean is fascinating to me, and wow. And also there's some really cool stuff about just how the human body behaves in water. Wow, what a book. But after we finished that, I actually had the audiobook. I downloaded it before we left of The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet on Hoopla. So we actually listened to about half of that book as well, even though I had just read it. I just really thought that Connor would like it, and I was right. So that was really fun to hear it again, and I liked it just as much as I did the first time. I didn't love the narrator of it actually, and there were some issues with the volume in the audiobook. Like sometimes that the narrator would start like whispering and then would get really loud very quickly, and in the car it was very annoying and hard to handle. But yeah, what a beautiful little story. And I think I kind of have a different appreciation for the title. Like I just hadn't really thought about it, but in the book they are making their way to what ends up being this small, inhospitable, and angry planet. But on this second read, I was just more aware of how the story is really about the journey and the way that we get to know all of these characters during that journey. In that way, it's a very character-driven story. The plot is there, and it's not ever boring, but all of the plot really just serves to give you a stage to like get to know these characters. So it's just like a very clear example of the journey is the destination. Like the book is not about the angry planet. It's about the long way to the small angry planet. So I just thought that was kind of fun, and I'm also like, maybe rereaders are onto something. I just want to also offer some closing remarks about my whole little vacation. Like we had a fantastic time. It was so amazing to be in such a beautiful place, and to just spend so much quality time with Connor. We just hung out, played board games, looked outside, walked outside, like hung out. It was so nice, but it also just like, how do I want to say this? The world is so beautiful. Like there is so much to be seen in the world, but there is also so much to be seen just like within this country. And I have been able to see a lot of it. I have driven back and forth across the country a couple of times. I've taken a bunch of road trips, and I've gotten to see like so many amazing things. It's so beautiful. And if you ever get the chance to do it, to take a road trip and see some new like horizons, even just on the other side of the state, I guess it depends on what state, but I don't know, the dramatic differences in landscape and sky and horizon that we saw driving 10 hours north just within one state on basically one highway is amazing. Like this is a beautiful place, and it felt really good to see, and I feel so lucky that I was able to see it, and I'm so amazed that so much exists that is just like wildly different. So yeah, I mean, California, what a world, what a beautiful place. But there are beautiful things in all of the states, and if you have never driven or seen anything in the Southwest especially, I think that that's some of the most dramatic, but it just feels dramatic to me because I grew up in the Northeast. But wow, yeah, just really like feeling very grateful and like just still soaking up the glow of like having seen such beauty. It's really amazing, and I hope that everyone can see at least some of it. I'm starting to get a little bit emotional about it, honestly, again. So I'm just gonna sign off and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for every like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I'm so glad that I was able to share some of my vacation with you. I hope you liked it. I hope I'll see you back here next time.